Hey folks, this is Mike Tango Whiskey coming at you with another Hurt Feelings Report. This will be episode 8. The Hurt Feelings Report, if you don't know already, is where I get to sit down and go over the comments from the past week. Where am I looking? There's the camera. Looking for the best insights and the best insults. Maybe respond a little bit, absorb some criticism, because that's good for me, because I'm not very good at doing that. Maybe responding to some criticism. Right, and learning what I can, because what I'm starting to understand is that there are a lot of people in the comments for my channel that have been in this a lot longer than I have and are probably smarter and better at it than I am. And I want to learn. I want to get better. I'm not the expert in all things, that's for sure. So this is an opportunity for me to kind of absorb criticism and try and do better. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. This is the prepping channel for the people who are in the meaty part of that bell curve, the 68% we're calling ourselves, the 68 percenters. A bunch of normies. We drive sedans and minivans. We live in the suburbs, work in the city, have jobs, take our kids to soccer practice, and we still want to be prepared, right? We still want to, have things squared away, have some resources, access to resources that'll help us perpetuate normalcy, as Bear Independent would say, for our loved ones. If you're one of my subscribers, welcome back. I appreciate you all. You know I love you with a long distance relationship kind of, I hope you never pop in kind of love, right? Platonic love. But I appreciate you guys and all your support. Okay, let's jump right in. I think we've got some good ones this week. It's hot out here. Someone said, hey, can you get some AC so we could stop watching you sweat? No, not yet. It's too expensive. But I did soak my hoodie in water and my hat, and then I just put it on when it's really hot. It works. It's kind of like mobile AC, but my wife says it makes me smell like wet dog. And she's right. I start to smell kind of sour after I do it all day. So anyway, but you guys can't smell me, so you don't know any different. All right, we're going to start with a good one. So this comment, what I do is I go back, I put hearts next to all of the comments that I want to add to the Hurt Feelings Report for the week. Sometimes I'm just telling people, hey, this is going in the HFR, just so you know. And they don't really know what that is most of the time. But I have a pretty good one to start with, and this isn't from 6 or 7 days ago. I go back to the previous Hurt Feelings Report and then start tracking comments from there. So this one was from a video I put out earlier in the week on the 4 W's, the kind of process, the stages of waking up. How does a normie become a prepper? I put out a pretty short video about that. And so this guy responded, right? And I told myself, this is not a political channel. It's really not. But I kind of got into politics a little bit in that video, and this guy's responding to that. So let's start with a pretty juicy one here. Even though I agree with most things you said, both sides are thieves and not trustworthy. However, let's not make a false equivalency. I think he said equivalency. I think he meant equivalency. One side is actively trying to take away our freedoms, whether it be gun rights and even freedom of speech. Think about where all the censorship on social media comes from and silencing people by canceling them. So he's talking about the left, right? I will take a red thief any day over a liberal who wants to take away my rights. Aren't they both thieves? It's funny. So that's his commentary. He's like, I agree with you. Both sides are bad, but I prefer the red. Okay. Yeah, and most people do, right? I think in that video I said that I was post-political. I think they're both, it's Coke and Pepsi. They both rot your teeth. They both give you diabetes. And to be honest, I'll go a step further. I think politics is idolatry at its worst and a fool's errand at its best. And what I mean is, what I see people doing is putting their faith, their hope, and their trust in a person. If we can just get our guy or our gal right in that position, all of the things, and all we get is more debt, more war, and less freedom. If even people who are like on the right and, red state, blue state, they're, if you haven't come to see that in the past few months, that what was told to you is not coming to fruition, and I don't know what to say, like the Epstein stuff, or I kind of like, I don't consider myself political. Again, I don't pick either side. I think they're both bad for us. But what I like about Trump is I like that he's a bull in a china shop, and I feel like he wasn't a politician. And people say that he's not a politician, but now he has become the best of all politicians, right? He's changed the game. So he came at it from an angle that nobody was expecting. And so I appreciate originality wherever I see it, but like some of the stuff that and I see that people are like, oh, his policies are better and things are better financially. And yeah, I see all that. And I probably tend to agree with a lot of it, but he's working really, really hard. You remember the way that he warp speeded, put on warp speed the jab to come out, right? Because it was politically expedient. I see him doing the same thing with AI. Like, nobody is working harder to solidify the infrastructure of our invisible prison than this administration. I that's what's happening. And I don't know another way to look at it. So whether you're pro red or pro blue, all I see, more debt, more war, less freedom. That's it. I don't see things getting, maybe, this is getting better and my gas is a little bit cheaper and those things are good. But overall, you pull back to 50,000 feet, I see a purple blob. I don't see much difference. I see a uni-party that's giving us the illusion of choice. Anyway, enough of that. So then he goes on with some pretty serious accusations. This is where it gets fun. It's funny with your rise to success on YouTube. Got 11,000, like rise to success. I wouldn't quite call it that. I was wondering if you were one of those liberal plants trying to win back men. So I appreciate the thought that I'm winning men. I'm down for that. I would love that. That'd be great. But a liberal plant, okay? I mean, having a new channel about tactical prepping being suggested to me was just kind of strange right there. So I guess the algorithm put it in his thing. So I'm in cahoots with the algorithm trying to convert him back. So he was a liberal, maybe he turned red, and now I'm trying to convert him back. Listen, so you're extremely well-spoken, come up with catchy new terms, very rarely stumbling over your words. It seems like it could be written by a very good producer. Oh, that is so. That is the best compliment I've ever received from somebody trying to hate on me. Extremely well spoken. Thank you. Catchy new terms. Thank you. Rarely stumbling over your words by a very good producer. Okay, I I don't have any of that. I don't have a producer. Now let me say this. I've spoken about my background before. I do have a background in public speaking. I teach leadership development. I have roughly 5,000 hours of standing in front of people, presenting ideas, communicating in concise ways, blah. I have a background in public speaking, okay? So I appreciate you recognizing that comes through. So I think that's good, but it's not written by a producer. It's mostly me babbling. There's no cuts. You see me reading from a script? Like, where's my script? Where's it hanging? In these compasses? No. That's my cheat sheet inside the compass. It's just my whole script right there. There's someone like projecting. This is what really cut me. He says, placed in a work area with extremely lightly used tools. You son of a mother. How dare you? How dare you? You know what? I'm going to show you something. See if I can get this camera back. These are not lightly used tools. Look at these tools. Look at the marks. Look at the marks on those blades, my friend. Look at that. Look at the marks on there. You're like, you just got those from a thrift store. This is cracked from me slamming on it. Look at these tools. Look at these tools. Look at this. Does that look like a lazy hand that crafted all of these axes? That hand, I didn't forge them, but come on, man. Look at these tools. What are you talking about? Am I showing too much? I'm probably showing too much. Anyway, you son of a mother. How dare you? Lightly used tools. I guess what he's implying is that like in the movie The Game, when he went into that apartment and all the pictures were just like the store-bought frames. Placed in a work area with extremely lightly used tools. I was going to show, look at my gloves. Look at my gloves. This was the soft, like suede leather. Look at that. They are worked through friction to a fine patina. Look at that. That's the smell of a life of work, my friend. Look at the marks from my calluses. Do you see where I pick them every week from swinging kettlebells and hammers and forging and crafting axes? Do you see that? I don't forge axes, but how dare you? Very basic yet clear camera work. Great audio and lighting. Look, do you see this $20 microphone from Amazon? Do you see that $20 light? Look, that's a shop light. Look up there. That's a shop light. I digress. I apologize to my regular viewing audience for losing control there. Now you're getting into both sides are the same in politics and you don't participate? Man, what's better than trying to convince people on the right to turn left, which they will probably never do? I myself was just trying to convince you not to vote. Both sides are equally bad. Very interesting, Mike. Who is this guy? Should I call him out? I don't think I should. I should go click. Does he have a page? I should go click on his page. Oh, wait, he is here. Oh, he has a page. Oh, my name is. Oh, and he tells a business he owns. Oh, bro. All right, I'm gonna track you down, bro. Okay. I'm not a plant. I don't know what to say. I'm not trying to convince anybody to turn anything. I believe what I said about politics. I think it's a fool's errand. I really do. And idolatry at its worst. Very great audio and lighting. These ghetto lights. I'm surrounded by all this trash. Okay, I digress. I just wanted to start with that one. That was like, how dare you insult my tools? Son of a mother. All right, let's calmly and collectively move on. My dad used to say that locks are only to keep honest people out. So I commented on that last time. I was like, are people calling me a criminal? What he meant by that was not to trust locks. I don't think he meant it towards people. I like that because I didn't get the sense when people were quoting that to me, they weren't like following up with insults. So that makes sense. People are just saying the only good thing honest locks are good for is to keep people who don't want to get through them anyway, right? So I appreciate that. That gave me some perspective on what I was interpreting. And that's another thing too. It's hard to read comments because you can't tell tone, you can't tell sarcasm. We need a sarcasm font with like reverse italics. But anyway. So sometimes I read into them and I'm not always right. So I appreciate that. I think he gave me some perspective that I didn't have before. Random observations, like the compass wind chime. I agree that you should be able to navigate your own area. I lived in my current area for 25 years. I know where I'm going. I happen to enjoy the compass, working with the compass, but that's me. There are plenty of other ways to navigate these ways, and most of them are easier to master. So too many throw a compass in their bag without ever learning how to use it. That's not a compass, that's a paperweight. A random rock will do you as well and is probably more durable. P.S. I don't think you look like Willem Dafoe. For one thing, he's a lot more wrinkled up. Also, you do not have the same sort of overhanging caveman brow. This is my new best friend. Who are you? Carol Gold Boyd 9287. Yeah, I appreciate you, man. This guy comments quite a bit. I appreciate your comments. So, yeah, again, someone just messaged me and they were like, "Are you gonna explain why you hate compasses?" I don't hate compasses. It was an inside joke that came from my very first bag video, which I was being dead serious. In my get home bag scenario, the narrow scope of my get home bag scenario, my bike ride an hour and a half, 16 miles on a path that's not a road, like I'm not going to navigate. I'm just not. Even at night, even in the fog, even in winter, and I've been maced, I'm going to stick to the roads that I know. There's road signs. I know where the road, I'm not going to navigate. I'm going to quintuple down on that for my scenario. If I was in the woods hunting, when I'm in the woods hunting, I carry a compass. But now I'm known as the non-compass guy, so I might have to get rid of it and get lost just to keep my integrity. But anyway, I appreciate you, man. Corrections to my episode 7. There is no FCC type license for ham radio under Part 97. There is under Part 95 for GMRS. Yeah. He's saying he said my antenna's way too heavy for this. I don't think it is. This looks heavy. I don't think it is. This is no heavier than those 36-inch whips that people use. but you're going to crack the final inside. Okay. Yeah, Part 95 is for GMRS, and technically your radio is supposed to be Part 95 approved to use it on GMRS channels, but someone commented that Canada banned walking in the woods, and I commented on that, and then someone kind of fixed it a little bit. They said, no, it's just, it's because to prevent wildfires. Apparently Nova Scotia is exceedingly dry, so they didn't want people in the woods doing stuff. There's a similar ban where I'm at, where they, BLM, the Bureau of Land Management, banned shooting and other activities because of the wildfire danger. Everybody's freaked out because of the wildfires, which they should be. But then we make rules about, you know, can't walk, can't talk, can't drive, all that stuff. This guy says, no, don't call us 3%ers. I don't want to be associated with those 2010 series losers. Where did this soft, G-rated version of the Christian faith come from? It's blatant. How dare you, hero of Canton? So what is he saying? What is he saying? He's saying, I am demonstrating a soft, G-rated version of the Christian faith. I don't know what that means. I don't think that my faith is G-rated. I probably G-rated a little bit for here. You know, my kids watch these videos, but I don't. Christianity is not G-rated. I know scripture enough to know that. I know it's violent. I know all the stuff that people wouldn't consider G-rated. I don't know. I don't know what my is he calling me watered down? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what he's saying there. Maybe he'll come back and clarify. If you are, how dare you? I'm definitely not throwing a compass in my bag because my watch, my phone, my weather radio all have one that I will never use. Same with bottle openers, which are somehow on every single multi-tool and my belt buckle. I don't drink anything that requires a bottle opener. Yeah. Someone by email sent me today, maybe I should bring up that email. Sent me an email. Yeah, I just ran across your video, sir. You're being targeted. Keep up the great work. All of the preppers on YouTube, I think, will get more than most of the others I've seen, and I mean that. Anyway, have a great day. Screaming at my monitor. He's only 16 miles away. Dumb A. Laugh out loud. So there's a kind of a not old-timey. He's an older gentleman. Has a YouTube channel, and he put out a video, worst prepper advice for SHTF. He was responding to my very first video about no fire, no compass. It's kind of the same thing, you know. You never know. I'm putting lives in danger. I think that's what his video says. It's like, if you do this, you will die. Then he goes, prepping is not about fear. It's like, well, you just threatened that I would die. But there was another. Oh, this. I thought I would put this in there. This isn't comments, but this was really great. So this was a flashlight company. And I won't, I'm not going to, oh, this wasn't a flashlight company. It was another product, but I don't want to call them out because they eventually started cooperating. Dang it. I don't know if I can find it and not look boring here. Holiday markets. But anyway, this product company sent me this thing, and I gave them my standard email. My standard response is always, yeah, if it's free, send it to me. No promises, no guarantees. I'm not guaranteeing it's going to be in a video. And I give my address, right? Or a downtown address. It's like a P.O. box. And then they say, a couple companies have said, well, can you give us a phone number? And I go, no, you don't need my phone number to ship to me. And this company was like, yeah, we need a phone number. I said, you do not. Other companies ship to me all the time, and none of them have required a phone number. And then someone said, fine, whatever, in the email. So then I responded. I was like, just so you know, this is going in my hurt feelings report. And you know what they did? Someone else, clearly, because the tone was way different, emailed me back. They go, our apologies. We actually don't need your phone number to ship to the United States. Please, we will ship it out promptly. What color would you like? So it was so great because they completely flipped around. I don't know if they've seen the hurt feelings report or not, but I thought that was pretty hilarious. Okay. I don't want to call them out since they eventually kind of got their mind right, but yeah, they were getting snarky. Okay. So this is me. This is someone commenting about my response to Chris's video, right? Wasteland by Wednesday. I don't think this is actual drama. They have the same views and goals. They're just coming about it with two different conclusions, right? If anything, there was a mutualist respect from both towards each other. Yeah, this is just how I took it. I bet Chris carries a compass, though. I bet he does. Yeah. Yes. I like Chris's stuff. I liked his video. I don't think we're far enough. I don't think we're as far apart as people think we are. In fact, we've been interacting in the comments ever since. It's kind of cool. Okay. I don't think this is in response to my prepper response to Chris, the drama video, right? I don't think that the average person can get to TOTC. I keep saying that wrong. TOTC until they go through TOTC and SHTF stages, not just from a resources and cost perspective, but also with the mindset. It's a process, and I suspect most preppers never make it much past TOTC, turd on the carpet, right? And I don't feel like that's a bad thing, unless you're part of a MAG, a mutual assistance group, or you're depending on them for more. Yeah, I think there is kind of a natural progression for people, right? And kind of the whole point of this channel, one of my primary contentions is that what's out there on YouTube right now is steering us harder towards SHTF instead of TOTC, right? Let's get fully rounded in TOTC. Let's do some of the SHTF stuff. And if possible, let's do some of the TOTC stuff, right? It's a little bit of all of it. It's three sides of the same coin. I really do believe that. Yeah, Modern Refugee. I don't know if I addressed this last week. I don't think I did. But Modern Refugee was referring to one of my videos specifically about the compass. This guy said he was paying me a compliment. I didn't get that, though. I went back and watched his live. He didn't call me out by name, but he said I wasn't that smart for not carrying a compass. He said, don't listen to some guy sitting in his garage who hasn't done anything. I'm likely to freeze to death on a foggy night, maybe, without my compass. And he gives an example of some time where he was in the woods and he needed his compass. And in the comments of that thing, I said, I will never consider that. And he goes, may I ask why? He was very respectful. And I told him, look, man, it started as a joke. Like in my specific scenario, I'm positive I'm not going to need to navigate from this spot to this spot. Other situations might call for a compass, right? But now I'm the no compass guy, so I gotta stick with it, man. It's my sword. I gotta die on it. People are like, and you will on a frozen, foggy, mace in your eyes night, you will die from not. And there's another. Let me say something else. So both response videos, that older gentleman and then even Modern Refugee, who I like a lot. I just feel like in the prepper space, maybe we take ourselves a little too seriously. Can we lighten up a little bit? Can we be seriously prepared for what is to come and laugh and have fun too at the same time? I hate to be just like a cringy. You see this? I got this scowl from living in California for 20 years and it just never went away. So I always look angry. I don't want to be angry. I don't want to be angry my whole life, worried about the world collapsing and miss my kids growing up or miss laughter and fun and all the stuff that we can do in between now and then. I hope that I'm equipped and ready to get serious when I need to. But in the meantime, let's have some fun. I just feel like some of these channels are just so serious all the time. It's life and death, your lives and yeah, sometimes, but we all die, man. What did Gladiator say? He's like, death smiles at us all. All we can do is smile back, right? Yeah. Come on, let's lighten up. Let's lighten up. Let's have some fun. That's what I'm trying to do. And yeah. Someone said, it's not just guys that want a cabin on land away from everyone. Okay, yes. Excellent point. I found that to be true. I just don't get into as many conversations with women about the topic. I'm married, so I try, I work with women, but I try not to just have random conversations with women all the time. I try not to do that. Someone says, you need to talk to women. We are society's collectors of necessities and comforts. Thumbs up, Nana Ruby Crafts. I agree, yeah. But again, most of my circles are my audience is like 95% guys, most of the guys in the States. But it is true though, like the few conversations I've had with women about this, they kind of want the same thing. It's crazy. Like everybody wants to go back to the olden days, We want to go back to little house on the prairie with homesteads and live like Wrangler Star. Gerald Bell created the bell curve in response to my explanation of 68% and TOTC. You are the most common sense prepared citizen channel. Your channel is probably the most common sense approach to prepping. Keep up the great content. Thank you, sir. Prepared citizen. I have hesitated to call I know that's the cool term now, like prepared citizen is what we're supposed to call ourselves. I'm not much of a citizen though. Like I don't vote. I'm not that interested in politics. The social contract and all that stuff. It's like, I'm not a great citizen. I don't think I am. I'm not, I don't consider myself super patriotic or, so yeah, that's why I don't use that term, but I appreciate you though, saying that my channel is common sense. I appreciate that, and I will try to continue to provide that kind of content. Hi from Australia, sir. This is in response to TOTC and 68%. You are my brand spanking new, all sensible prepping God on earth. Thank you. I appreciate the sentiment, sir. Please make that G a lowercase. But I thank you. Thank you. Yeah, little G, okay? I don't want to be accused of being a heretic, which I already am, but this is Wasteland by Wednesday. This is Chris. He goes, I absolutely can't wait to address this, especially the affliction shirt. That's a can of worms in itself, Mike. I love it, and I will certainly respond with a response by responding to the response. Whatever, I will get on it. He's out of town for he was out of town like through this week doing a drone recon class. See, I should be hanging out with this guy. Then I'll be back, and for now, you're absolutely correct. You're invited to join the group. I knew it. I knew he was inviting me. I knew it. And if you did, you would probably be elected the leader in about 3 days. I'm just the S2, and I have no input on that. Anyway, yes, response coming soon. Thanks for the excellent content. And I thanked him for initiating this. This has been a fun exchange, a learning process for me. And it generates likes and views for both of us. I think that's cool. I'm hoping I steered some traffic towards his site and his channel because it's really good. He's the S2, so he's an Intel guy. Is that what an S2 is? S2 Underground. Have you guys seen that channel? That's really good. If you haven't, you should check out that channel. That's a good one. But it makes sense because that explains why Chris is so good at saying the things the way he says them. This is in response to Prepper Drama, my response video to Chris. You're like Nut and Fancy light. Lots of similarities. You like to talk. You come up with new acronyms. You have the same bugout theories. Soon, you'll be recording in your bunker with sunglasses and one of your sons. Looking forward to it. Yeah, I have sons inside right now. Maybe I can bring them outside. I love thank you. I love Nut and Fancy. I've loved him for a decade. Nut and Fancy, Wrangler Star, and probably Casey Neistat were my biggest YouTube influences the past decade. But I thank you. That's great. I love what Nut and Fancy does. You know what I like about Nut and Fancy? Is he was not cool by current definitions, but in hindsight, he was cool. He was cool about things before people knew it was cool. He was ahead of his time. He really was. Think about like fanny packs. Chris talks about fanny packs too. Like Nut and Fancy was the king of fanny pack, and back then it was like that's kind of lame. But now everybody's making a fanny pack. Like, oh, it's a sling bag now. I love Nut and Fancy. I love his stuff. And I was just talking to an old buddy of mine, Clay, and he's probably going to see this. He's watching my videos. But me and him, over a decade ago, we were stationed in Korea, and we would spend endless nights at this little kind of lounge on base. And we would talk at the time. He's the one that introduced me to Wrangler Star and to Casey Neistat. And that really did spark my interest in YouTube. I was like, man, I bet I could do that. And then a decade later, here I am. You know, we just had this conversation yesterday where he told me we were kind of reminiscing back about those conversations. That's what this feels like. This feels like the stuff we were talking about. Just all of those ideas have kind of evolved and moved forward. So being compared to Nut and Fancy Light, and Nut and Fancy, NTFL, that doesn't say anything, but anyway. Okay, in response to TOTC and 68%, I watched probably the first video you did explaining these concepts, and somehow when you did that one, it didn't click for me that being a 68%er wasn't just about the type of prepper you are, but the majority of likely prepping scenarios that you'll see. Really glad you did a follow-up video. Yeah. So I think that's cool that these ideas evolve, and as I get better at explaining them, I'm going to try and put out more content, because that's the catch about YouTube, right? Is you put out a video and it lives out there, and maybe it wasn't the best or you weren't the most clear. Someone sees that and they jump off of that, and your ideas have evolved and they've changed. So I'm going to be updating content. I don't see a lot of creators doing that. I see people, they put out, I already did a bag video, so I can't do another bag video. I'll do 50 bag videos if my bag changes 50 times. I think that learning and that changing and growing is good. I think it's valuable. I think that should be on camera, because that's what all of us are doing out here in real life anyway. We're all changing our minds and updating our gear and switching things around. Yeah. So I thank you, sir. I appreciate that. This guy says, in response to me and Chris going back and forth, I'm calling shenanigans. You guys know each other. We do not. I could see why you would say that, though. It would be kind of genius, though, if like a made up prepper feud. This accusation is making it into my next HFR. Yeah, me and Chris don't know each other. He just responded, I liked his stuff. He likes my stuff. It's like, totally platonic, long distance, in a college roommate kind of way relationship. This guy talks about having, in response to my TOTC, 68%. It's kind of long, but old man here. Today I walked my dog, went to church with the wife, harvested a 5-gallon bucket of potatoes from the garden. We planted 20 berry bushes, 14 fruit trees, an acre with 2,300 square feet of gardens of vegetables and herbs. It talks about living a simple, old school life, and I like that. I called it prepper goals, right? I feel like a lot of prepping, and I said this in response to a couple other comments, I feel like a lot of prepping is just, people used to live this way all the time. It's just all this modern tech crap that's got us weak and stupid, right? And I think prepping is just really a movement back to the old ways, kind of a revolt against it. And I think it's going to get bigger once AI kind of ushers in this new wave of technological convenience, right? I think we've sacrificed a lot on the altar of complacency, convenience. Anyway, I think it's a movement back to the old ways. Interesting how you put your face so close to the turd on the carpet in this video. Seriously though, great usable information. Yeah, the whiteboard, I had to hold it against my face, because if I hold it like this, I wipe the words off of the back. Maybe I need one with a handle, but I guess he's saying turd was like right next to my face. Thanks for seeing that, sir. By the sound of it, you are talking about me and Chris. By the sound of it, you're basically comparing the usefulness of a pistol versus an AR-15. To use that analogy, you have your pistol most of the time for average EDC threats, and to get your rifle if it's a Red Dawn scenario. That's a great analogy, right? They're two different tools for two different purposes. Now, if you happen to have one over the other at the time, you use what you have. But yeah, like my channel is the 68% is, we're going to grab a pistol first, most likely. End of the world type stuff, SHTF, maybe a rifle, right? Yeah, I would agree with that. I like that analogy a lot. I should have thought of it, and I'm going to steal it and claim it from now on. This guy talks about the Younger Dryas event, the ice ages. In fact, humans have survived a number of cataclysmic events, supervolcanoes, ice ages, plagues, huge earthquakes, solar minimums, possibly solar plasma storms, 7 Jurassic Park movies. Is there 7? And even asteroid strikes. Sure, some people got wiped out, but the species endured, and they did so without Starlink, Swiss Army knives, Gore-Tex, iPhones, 511 pants, MREs, and 57 different AR builds. Or compasses. That's right, sir. Bravo Whiskey 4684. Thank you. You are right, sir. I did a live and a lot of people didn't get a notification. I don't know if that's my fault. I don't know. I don't think I have control over that. I think you have to adjust your notifications, but okay, this is an official statement from the Compass Users of America. Dear Mike Tango Whiskey, on behalf of our 37 very directional, enthusiastic members, we are deeply offended by your repeated slander of our beloved navigation tools. To suggest a get-home bag without a compass is like suggesting peanut butter without jelly, Batman without Robin, or YouTube without ads we can't skip. As a corrective measure, we will be sending you 100 compasses. Some point north, but some don't. But we assure you the gesture is what matters. Please clear some shelf space. Respectfully but firmly, Campus Users of America, always pointing the way whether you like it or not. Love the show. Jim Nanos, retired LEO and United States Coast Guard veteran. That's hilarious. That immediately made it into the Hurt Feelings report. Thank you, sir, for your effort, your creativity, and your totally accurate trollery. That's great. Yeah, I'm surprised I haven't got a letter from them. Is that real? Is that a real organization? Talking about my response video to Chris, decentralization of ownership is such a good idea, except when SHTF people and families are all about themselves. Good idea to get ideas from people who have been prepping for long term. Yes. I've got this in a couple comments. So it's okay to share stuff, but when SHTF happens, it's every man for himself. I don't know. I don't know if that's true. I know that's what we see in movies, like everybody just kind of devolves into these little fire teams, but there's going to be groups. There's always going to, there's safety in numbers. It's programmed into it's programmed into us that to be social collective animals. So I don't know if I do know you would have to establish that trust ahead of time, right? You don't want to wait till SHTF and then be like, hey, you want to be my friend? You want to be my friend? That's a bad idea. I think if you have that group ahead of time, yeah. When you said, this is in response to my fire bug out, when you said it was never part of my plan to go out into the woods, I subscribed to your channel immediately. Those gray area bug outs to somewhere else were where you are safe are not into the woods. They're 99%. They're going to be 99% of situations that we need to handle. TOTC. TOTC, my friend. TOTC. This guy talks about airplanes overhead. There are airplanes flying overhead. Most people, especially men who want to go full caveman, are nowhere near capable of it. They're so far removed and domesticated and hit caveman, they'd hurt themselves and probably those around them. At least would put them in harm's way. This guy's overseas. He says you can't prepare for plate tectonic shift comets. I don't think it's ever going to be full-scale Mad Max nuclear war. Wars are for profit. No one wins. Castles. He talks about castles in Scotland. More than $1 million. That's very expensive. I've seen castles cheaper than that. This guy says, in response to my radio programming video, my radio basics, I bought a UV5R on Temu for $2.50. It was legit. Now that's a tip. I'm going to go on Temu, get 50 of them. Greetings from Chile. I'm fairly new to this hobby, but have been searching for guidance on various Spanish language channels. Many go around in circles trying to explain something and end up confusing the topic. However, even with my poor English, I found your presentation, my radio video, to be very clear and concise, and I understood it much better than several videos in my native language. What's por favor? Is that please? Gracias. Thank you. Gracias, sir. Gracias. I appreciate that. I'm going to start calling my bug out bag my displacement bag. I like that. I need to do a video to expand on the idea of when we bug out, like, never mind. I'm not going to give it away. Like, it's more like displacing. Where are you going and why? Right? Those are things that we don't talk about much. This guy says, so someone accused me of having cheap rifles because my pins don't match. That's probably true. My main rifle is a tri-arc system lower and a Daniel Defense upper, and my pins don't fit perfectly. This just shows a possible lack of understanding of how modular this platform is. Being able to carry different upper receivers and barrel lengths of calibers is a big asset. Don't go throwing stones in a glass house, bud. Yeah, so he's saying high-end rifles don't always snap together perfectly either. The tolerances aren't always there. I think this is a woman. She kind of got on me about where things are getting away way too complicated, even nonsensical, is with all these bags and pouches and redundant kits. So she goes on to talk about some recommendations. Okay, but this is called recreation. She's saying biking home is recreation. I kind of agree with that. That's kind of my point, right? Like in an emergency, if I had to get home, and it was 16 miles on a bike path, yeah, that's recreation. That's kind of my argument. I don't need as much stuff. But I think she's kind of mocking me here. How about your shoes? Are they comfortable? Are they waterproof? Do you have dry socks to alternate with? Again, 2 hours, I probably won't need most of that stuff. She talks about expanding my IFAC, different food items. So why not prepare for everything and not your own personal little bike ride? People do that mileage daily without water or a snack. Laugh out loud. The average time is about an hour or two for people who are not in shape. Maybe practice more. I said 2 hours though. I can do it in less. That's conservative. In the meantime, what will benefit people is information on filtering and purifying water, basic trauma supplies, basic shelter in case you need to make a fire, all the same stuff. Well, there's plenty of channels out there that do that. There's plenty of them. I'm trying to give people a different way to think about things, that isn't full-blown survival gear for the woods everywhere, always. So you can follow that if you want to. That's not my channel though. Bourbon, Mr. Mango Bourbon Setter. I don't know what that means. Lord Vader 407 called me, excuse me, Mr. Mango Bourbon Setter. This guy says, in response to my very first You Don't Need These video, no fixed blade? Have you gone bananas? You've lost your marbles. Your sanity is forfeit. You've entered the void. Yeah, that's how I feel sometimes. Wasteland by Wednesday is excellent. I watched one of his videos a while back and thought this guy speaks my language. Yeah, he's got a great channel. This guy says, if you want to be a prepper in the 69%, you will need to stockpile baby oil and lots of baby oil. It says, I responded, I think you're confusing prepper with creeper. I think he's referring to Diddy, who had pallets of baby oil. Is it flammable? Maybe it would be useful to us. I don't know. I've been watching YouTube on SHTF, survival, bushcrafting, etc. for almost 10 years. I continue to be amazed at the number of content creators in this area that never speak on their bug out planning that includes their spouse, their children, significant other, loved ones with disabilities, real world family dynamics. You and one other YouTube channel are the only one that has this emphasis in their planning. Bravo, my guy. Thank you, 412 Rain. I appreciate that, sir. Yeah, I mean, that's my reality. So I talk about stuff that I have to plan for. This guy says, Bow-legged acres. He's a pretty regular commenter. I secretly hate myself for becoming a Mike Tango whiskey groupie. Great work, thank you. I hate myself sometimes too, man. So you're in good company, I said. Definitely a 68%er here. Both sides, been prepping for a lot of years. His bag is 40, but he has a different situation. Like he's a lot further. And again, in different scenarios, my stuff would look much different. I've been collecting so much crap through thrift stores and sales and yard sales and all this free channels and all this other stuff. I have a bag for everything. I've got a bug out bag with all the stuff, like the assault pack, and it's not the focus of my channel. I don't think I'm going to use that anytime soon. So I did an exercise video talking about, I might do more exercise stuff. This guy says, that's not an old man exercise video. Try stopping by my house at 72, recovering from major surgery. His knees and doing push-ups on his knees. Yeah. There's a lot of us in the 68% that are, 35 to 55, bad knees, bad back. A lot of that Rambo stuff just isn't feasible anymore, right? When you said, in response to my talking about Chris living in the desert, when you said I hate the heat and then proceeded to say you would be naked in a loincloth, but then you said, no, wait, I'm a ginger. I felt that in the deepest part of my soul. This guy has a channel too. Being on YouTube with my channel, Lucky Man Survival, it's really hard being someone who loves survival, but actually has a hate relationship with the sun. Move north, my man, move north. I don't know where you live, but move north. Talking about burning the city. I need to do more city stuff. It's just time. This guy. You, Mr. High on Emmy. I don't know what that means. My question to any godly man who is the head of his family is, why would you prep without the input of your wife or girlfriend? If you have females, why no feminine products? My late mother was the prepper during my childhood. This woman thought of everything. I appreciate when preps are thought about, but my goodness, if your wife ain't prepper friendly, ask a female friend or coworker to make a list of what women would need. Just for shites and giggles, let me help you with some of y'all thinking outside the box. How dare you, sir? He has some pretty good suggestions in here, but so a godly man who is the head of his family, why would you prep without the input of your wife? So I'm not godly. I'm not the head of my house because I can't. You must be both. You must be very godly, and you must always consider all of the thoughts and emotions of your wife. My wife's thoughts and emotions on things changes daily, sometimes weekly and monthly. Okay, I don't always know which. I've been married to her for 25 years. We are best friends, and I don't know what she wants for dinner. She doesn't know what she wants for dinner. Now, should I have been more thoughtful? Yes, that was the whole point of the bug out video. I admitted that. I owned it. I'm better now. But thank you for questioning my faith and my marriage all in one sentence, sir. Thank you so much. I think that's what I said to him. Man, an attack on my faith and marriage all in one comment? This is going in my HFR, sir. Thank you. How dare you? Okay, love the video. This is me and Chris going back and forth. I identify as a 68%er, while probably leaning more towards the prepared end of the bell curve. We move out of the city. I think this is kind of a long one. My personal feelings are that a small town will be way better than even a remote small compound in dealing with day-to-day TOTC, SHTF, or total collapse. Yeah, I have a good friend of mine who lives in a small town. Like that, maybe that's the answer. Maybe it's already a compound, a very small town, you know, like 1,000 people or something. Maybe that's the answer, where you have access to resources, you know everybody, you guys can start making those plans ahead of time. That might be a better way to go. This guy says in response to my live, he says, "Are you smoking weed?" I am not. I am not smoking weed. I don't smoke weed. I tried it once when I was super young, and it just made me sleepy. This just in general, honestly, I think people like this ruin the term prepper. I definitely prefer the term prepared citizen. Yeah, I'm fighting against that. He talked about my joke video where I said preppers be like, and I put like 3 rifles and a long axe, and it was a joke. Yeah, I'm trying to rectify that. This guy in response to Hurt Feelings episode number 7, I don't understand why people are so hard on the alcohol. Jesus turned water into wine. My own understanding about drinking alcohol is that Jesus was saying you shouldn't get hammered because it leads to sin. Early Christians that lived in Europe definitely drank. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to get into that here, but yeah. Yeah. The church was responsible for. In response to mine and Chris's kind of back and forth, what does this person say? I'd put it this way. Mike Tango Whiskey and the 68%ers are prepping to survive TOTC. Wasteland by Wednesday and the 32%ers are prepping to thrive in TOTC. I think that's a fair assumption. Assessment, right? This guy says, such great content, speaking hard. Truth is hard. Thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, here's a good point. This was a great point. Talking about the prepper bug out fantasy. My thing about getting out of the city to survive is always, all right, well, the only level 1 trauma care available is in the city. That's a good point. So let's say we bug out, we're in the middle of nowhere, someone gets seriously hurt. Like level 1 trauma care is only in the city. I was thinking about this. Like even if you remember Red Dawn when they were out in the mountains and eventually they had to go back to town. I think they just went back for curiosity. But I could imagine scenarios where you have to go from your location back into town from time to time to do certain things. Even in, total collapse type stuff, like Chris type scenarios. So maybe that could be a video. Like not a bug out bag, it's a recon bag or something, where you're going into the city to get supplies and come back out. That would be a good series of videos. I just gave other channels ideas. Damn it. Okay. This guy bought the GoRuck 2-compartment ruck bullet after going back to the website. It's the nicest bag I own by a mile. GoRuck makes great bags. If you can afford them, they're really nice. They'll last you forever. I'm behind time here. Let's see. This guy, he tore me up in a couple different places. In response to my cheap gear video, you're downplaying the likelihood of ever needing this stuff. And I get it, man. I really get it. But you know as well as I do, the whole point of all this shite is if you need it and don't have it, it's too effing late. I agree on not going overboard, and I agree on some slow-mo gear. When SHTF happens and you do need it, it's too late to get it, and people will have it, will be at an inherent advantage, and that's the point. So in SHTF, the guy with a Spirit of Systems placard is going to be at an advantage over the guy with a Condor chest rig. I don't know about that, bro. Same guy. Compasses. What you lead to believe is that under no circumstance could all this stuff happen all at once. SHTF, the mother storm could happen. That's the whole point. It most likely will not, but it could. This is the second video you posted making points that I don't necessarily agree with here. My question, I think the better question is, what leads you to believe that it will happen all at once? I think history and experience shows that this kind of complete collapse situation is not nearly as likely as something that's slow, local, not as severe, and temporary. That's TOTC, right? Yeah, there's lots of examples of bad situations, but most of them are not everywhere total collapse. I can't think of one. Even like Roman Empire, that took a couple hundred years, didn't it? I'm not an expert there. Or people point to Ukraine. That's localized, right? 2 miles away from the front lines, people are still shopping in grocery stores. Yeah, Chernobyl, you know, I don't know. I don't know of a situation where it was like a whole region all at once. Yeah, I think TOTC is far more likely. That's just me. Okay, again, at some point, in fact, it will be fast, severe, everywhere, and long-term. I can't think of one. This is not a possibility. It will happen. Just most likely not in our lifetime. To me, that's contradictory. But but this thing we call civilization will not continue forever. At some point, it will come to an ultimate and permanent end. Okay. Yeah. And then how do you prepare for that? Everywhere all at once, complete and total end. What are you going to have in your bag for that? No, I'm just going to heaven with Jesus, right? So I quote him, just most likely not in our lifetime. So we agree that we should be preparing for more likely scenarios. If this total collapse thing you're talking about is not likely to happen in our lifetime, why the crap are we preparing for it? I contend that 80% of our time, energy, and resources should be geared towards the most likely scenarios. Regional disaster, temporary unrest, local power outage, and 20% of our time, money, and energy should go towards the unlikely stuff. Zombies, societal collapse, Skynet, all that stuff. I absolutely agree that a global biblical end to this world will happen, which I am also prepared for. Okay, get saved first and then build a bug out bag. Yeah, we agree, man. I don't think we're saying anything different. Oh, this guy. Response to like my prepper bug out fantasy. He started watching it and posted 4 very long comments along the way, like through the whole video. Wrong. The cities and towns will burn due to having no water in the pipes. Dogs will smell your food and hang around your place. People will notice. Then you'll be sniped by day and burned out by night. You must flee. On and on and on and on. Food supplies, meds, e-bike. This will total about 150 pounds plus your bug out bag. Amazon sells spring-loaded clamp for mounting your... This guy had all kinds of really intricate advice for my watchers. Spices and meds, 1 to 2 years, and a freezer, snares, steel traps, trot lines, fish poison, bird lime, netting, inflatable boat. Coconut oil offers 3,900 calories per pound. Just on and on and on and on and on. And there's like 5 of them. And finally I go, great detailed information. Where did you get all this? Are you at this level of preparedness? Like the level of detail that he gives, it's almost like it's out of a book. Would you post some instructional? You should post some instructional videos or write a book to help us out. What would you recommend for people in the meantime? Those who have jobs and children who don't have the time and resources to do these things and don't have an established bug out location. No response. I don't disagree with what he's saying. That's all I want this guy in charge of my total TOTC planning, but what do we do until then? What do we do in the meantime, right? Let's do some of this, but and it was so detailed. I was like, bro, where'd you get all this? It sounded like a quote from a book. Finally, in response to my 10-pound get home bag, finally a video that actually describes a get home pack, which isn't a go bag or bug out bag. My get home bag has a walkie-talkie, goes through his list. He's not going camping. He's not going. Don't pack unnecessary things in this pack. Keep it light and basic. Yeah. Yes, sir. I agree. Regarding the compass, yeah. Oh, this is so long. Okay. There's so many styles of preppers these days. 68 percenters. I look at the tools behind you and their condition and think, that looks like my workbench. Not lightly used, well used. Okay. Regarding the compass, I trained as a kid to walk a long distance and use a compass. I've used it in the White Mountains. Yeah. Ball ammo, HP shotguns, rifles are all better than a pointy stick. Okay. Ooh, watching people go through natural disasters. So this is in my crazy red pill prepper video because I kind of asked, what was your red pill moment? So going through natural disasters with slow or inadequate response from government. Yeah, that was a good one. Oh boy, my first moment was the first Gulf War. CNN broadcasting, oh no, the fourth largest army hath Saddam. Yeah, being part of the government, I'll tell you, being part of the military, if someone's half intelligent and they're half paying attention and you're in the military, after about 10 years, you don't believe the hype anymore. You just don't. Like the Air Force used to tell us, we're a family. And then you retire and you realize, oh wait, that wasn't true. Or you see them start to cut budgets and they cut the best people because they're going to cost the Air Force the most money. That's not what families do, right? So being in the military was a red pill for me, a gradual kind of red pill over time. Yeah, and there's a lot of people commenting in here about their time in the service and how it was a kind of a waking up moment for them. Because you get to see behind the curtain, you know what I mean? You see behind the curtain, you see the real kind of what really goes on. Decades ago, I was a young boy and I asked my brother who said he was going to vote in the national election. He said nobody, or who he was going to ask or vote for. I asked why. He said because it doesn't matter. The president is not in charge. I think there is a group of people like the Star Chamber who are really in charge. Wow, what a rabbit hole. And I predict this will be either your most powerful video or at least watched video. Very good, amazing thought process. Yeah, I feel like everybody kind of has that red pill moment that wakes them up, starts them on a path, maybe gradual, maybe all at once. This is good. So a lot of people in response to my 4 W's said, you forgot the 5th W. Okay, I'm going to do another video. I'm going to update it. They're like, hey, Mike, are you seeing this? Are you watching this? I was like, yes, I see. The 5th W, because it was, we're being lied to. Well, I'll start from the bottom. We're being lied to, like the 4 stages of waking up. We're being lied to. What are the lies they're telling us? Who are the ones that are lying to us? What people, what institutions? And then why are they lying to us, right? A lot of people said, well, there's a 4th W there. It's what should we do about it? That's true. That's a great launching off point for prepping, right? Because people go through this process, they get depressed, they get black pilled, and say, what do I do about it? So I need to make an updated video. There's 5 W's, right? And this is a good conversation to start about where should you start when prepping. So that's probably the angle I'll take on it. But I think red pill is a great analogy. Same video. I know once your eyes are open, you can't unsee the crap that happens daily. Yeah. And I believe it's all based on power and control. The why is the most troubling aspect, power and control. There's only one entity that desires total control and power over all, and that's Satan. And those who've stumbled to his wicked influence, submitted to his wicked influence. I said, yep. Yeah, that's what I think. That's what I think. Because what I said in that video too was deceit is the thread that goes through all the systems of the world. That's his MO. It's his MO, right? I think of the church lady video from SNL and be like, could it be Satan? Yeah, I do think it's Satan. I tried not to go off the deep end in that video. Some people say, one guy said, I would love to see you go off the deep end. I think I think most of your audience has already been down that road and would like to hear your take on it. Don't underestimate your audience. Yes, thank you. Maybe I did underestimate my audience a little bit. And I said my deep end is pretty dark and pretty deep. So I can get black pilled real quick. I find myself getting black pilled, and then I kind of come back a couple degrees and land back into the 68%, you know. This guy says, maybe test the waters. I bet your audience is already there. Maybe I'll do some black pill stuff, like some far end. One guy was like, you lost me at reptilians. This guy says his red pill moment was the pandemic. Too many red flags. The urgency of the messaging that everyone must be injected with a substance that no one had gone through typical trials. And yeah, that whole thing woke a lot of people up. A lot of people. Because we were learning about the things that weren't true pretty quickly. It was like a 6-month turnaround. What we were being told and when we knew it wasn't true was about 6 months. That's where the joke came from. What's the difference between a conspiracy theory and truth? It's about 6 months. This guy says, you sound like Joe Biden when you whisper. Keep it up. I said, how dare you? HFR for sure. Do I sound like Joe Biden? Am I whispering? Do I whisper? Am I whispering? This guy says his red pill moment was A Bug's Life, the cartoon. They lie to keep us under control because they fear us and our numbers. Hey, I don't care how your red pill comes, as long as it comes. That's I never thought about that. I guess that's true, though. That was a good movie. We appreciate you, too, in a weird sort of way. For me, my moment was when I was 6 months old and someone dropped me on my head. There was no going back. That's not a red pill moment, sir. That's a concussion moment. This guy says he compares it good. He contrasts me and Wasteland by Wednesday. He goes, mostly getting ready for Tuesday with a bit of thinking about Wednesday. Yeah, I'm getting dressed for Tuesday, but I'm looking ahead to Wednesday. I'm checking my calendar for Wednesday. What's going on Wednesday, right? I think that's a good strategy. Even though this is in Crazy Red Pill Prepper, even though I agree with most of the things you said, this is that other guy, where I opened up with him. How dare you? I think it's good to stay politically aware, vote based on who's running closest to biblical truth. I know a lot of people on the right say that, but I just don't think they are, man. I don't think they are. I hear people making the argument that Trump's a Christian. I think he does what's politically expedient. He's a great politician now, maybe the best in 100 years. But regardless, that individual is not our savior. And no matter who is in office, God's plan for humanity is set in stone, and it's going to happen. We have to stop idolizing politicians and start looking at Jesus. Yeah. This guy says, you did not describe preppers. You described black-pilled. There are plenty of preppers who do not red or black-pilled that feeling the need to prepare based on personal or observable events. This video, he said, change the title to, this video is not for the 68%. How dare you? This is great. So the grandpa that got mad at me for joking about taking a shot of whiskey to Bible camp, Lord forbid. Your response to the grandpa watching your video was on point. Definitely deserves a mini whiskey bottle sticker with a logo that says unsub, because I told the grandpa to unsub. Is that too harsh? He says I'd buy that for $1. Man in the Woods 76, what is up, my man? He said he loves me. I'm definitely coming to his house when SHTF. No, brother, kidding. I don't need you. Rock on, bro. Good vid. Yeah, thank you. Hugs and platonic high fives is what I said. Yeah, I want all my friends to not have to need me. Those are the best kind of friends. Are we getting close? We're getting close. Seems like you have this guy recommended an elevator key. My dad gave me an elevator key. He used to work for Montgomery, which became some other company. If you ever get an elevator in North America, there's a good chance it's a cone elevator. Anyway, they always have a small key in the door. firefighters carry that key. That's a great idea, right? Like if you get stuck in an elevator, a way to get out of it, because that's the terrifying scenario, like in movies, right? Maybe not likely to get stuck in a scenario, but possible. If you work in a building where you use an elevator daily, that's a great prep. I love that. I had no idea that existed. Someone says The Simpsons predicted the great power outage. Somehow I feel that this will occur. He asked me, how should we prepare for a long-term power outage, assuming it somehow reaches the year mark or past 6 months? Yeah, that's SHTF. No power for 6 months, that's SHTF. I think things would probably be pretty ugly. 6 months with no power would be SHTF, depending on how widespread it is. My suggestion is learn the old ways and primitive skills, cooking, staying warm. This is where survival stuff would probably start to come into play, right? Power is the key to a lot of stuff. This is that same guy that's been criticizing me. Butcher bad, 1189. All of your content is generic in the same, dude. I'm going to leave the same comment that I always leave. Yeah, the likelihood of this scenario isn't very high, but the fact that it exists at all is need to be prepared for it. Why make a joke out of something like that? Why not be prepared for something like it's better to be prepared and not need it than the other way around? Hey, bud, try to come up with some original content. How dare you? I feel like what I'm putting out is original. That's why it's hitting. How dare you? That original content. I'm making this all up. Like, I'm not watching other videos and getting ideas. I'm coming up with these ideas. These are ideas that are already in my head. Maybe something that's not the same as every other clip you're putting out, that I see you trying to discredit the idea of any kind of SHTF. No, that's not what I'm doing. Pretty sure I'm unsubscribing at this time. Unsub, sir. That's okay. Yeah, this guy says he was in the military and he was stuck on a defensive fighting position. Nobody came to help him. That was his red pill moment. This guy says he watched one of my Hurt Feelings episodes and then went back and watched the rest of them because it helped him understand my perspective. Good. Ravencraft. So Bags, this is kind of a long post, so I'm not going to go all the way through. Oh my gosh, this is very long. But this is the person that turned me on to the COR or the bags, the Earth Pack bags, so I got one of those. But this is the same person that criticized me before. If I'd have known that, I wouldn't have bought their bag. But anyway, yeah, lots of good suggestions coming from this R Ravencraft poster. So thank you, appreciate it. Looks like you might be a female. Again, kind of a long post. Okay. Getting to the top here. It's hard to scroll through these and not lose my way. Extra adventure, lots of great posts from. If you know, you know, the struggle is real baby steps. Oh, this is my bottle video. I had a lot of responses to my bottle collection. This is one that didn't make it in there. Look at this beauty. 68 or 64%er, 68%er. Lots of people confessing their addictions in the comments as well. Yeah. Some people saying, no, it's not a problem. Keep going. It's great. Good Lord, that is disturbing. I've never seen anything like it. I haven't even done my bag video yet. It was just easier to get all the bottles out all at the same time. And that wasn't even all of them. My friend, this is not an addiction. What you have there is a search for the perfect bottle. An old samurai saying is, you could spend a lifetime searching for the perfect cherry blossom and it wouldn't be a wasted life. Carry on. I will carry on. Thank you very much, Simple Fieldcraft. Yeah, that collection was pared down too. This guy says, so my bottle video, clickbait, easiest unfollow ever. Aren't all unfollows pretty easy? Like if you just have to click it. Clickbait. I have a bunch of junk. Those compasses are better than nothing. Yeah, I do have a problem with kit and gear. So I've been prepping for so long. I've just got so much stuff. So this person trying to make me feel bad says, seeing that much money in bottles, but knowing how many homeless people there are in America. Tisk, tisk. How dare you? One person says about my compass video, my trash compass, all this junk I've collected, my short. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. That I don't need a compass either. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of flack about the compass thing. Totally understand. I'm just relieved. This person, so I said I'm hiding something, right? So they go, I totally understand the bottle thing. I'm just relieved that you didn't reveal that you're an AI experiment. And I laughed so hard about that. And I said, like I was an AI channel that believed it was human, but then became self-aware that I was an AI and compelled to confess. That would be hilarious. That would be funny, right? That would be great. Like that Terminator movie. What Terminator was that where the guy thought he was really human and he didn't know he was a robot? I'm going to cut myself here for sure. Dude, you need to join Canteens Anonymous. I thought you were going to talk through more serious addictions like belly button lint. Is that a thing? Are people... I'm not searching that. This is my work computer. I can't go searching stuff like that. I can see it now. Late in the darkness of the night, you sneak into the garage with only a red lens headlamp. Stand over the masses of Nalgene's and stainless as you imagine them bowing in your presence. The only audible sound is you muttering, I will never consider a compass. You are the only ones for me. Bow-legged acres. Oh my gosh. I feel attacked. You win the comments, sir. Okay, we're approaching the top here. This guy said, I thought your addiction would be Beanie Babies. How dare you? Is that a compliment? I don't know. This guy says about my bottle video, this was a dumb video. I'm sorry. I like some of your other stuff. Oh, people loved it, okay? Don't watch it. I'm going to cut my eye for sure here. This was a dumb video. I thought it was okay. Jim. Yeah, Jim, that book that I kind of showed in my shill video. Yeah, great book. Great book. He thank you for kind words about my book, sir. He says he had some pouches from Roaring Fire too. Yeah, these are great. I can't wait to fill those with stuff and things. So this is a great idea. So my mail call, I was calling it mail time, then mail call. This guy says, Raptor0256, I want to give you credit. He says a new segment called Shill Spill, where you spill all the product all over the bench and then shill them to us. I might do that. You will get credit. Maybe I'll send you some of the shill stuff, sir. Why don't you get my email and send me an email address? So if I steal that name, I'm going to send you some free stuff. That'd be great. I said a video of me, my GoPro riding home would be boring. This guy says there's a whole channel about a guy that does e-bikes and he just rides around all the time. You just watch these hours-long videos about him riding all over town. It's not really my brand, but I've watched those too, actually. This guy says, why do you have 6 compasses? Because YouTube told me I should have one everywhere all the time. So I pick them up every time I see them in a thrift store. Yeah, I got to have one in every kit all the time, everywhere, at work, while I'm sleeping. This person says, prepping is paranoia meets a shopping addiction. That cuts deep, man. That's a t-shirt. Prepping, paranoia plus shopping addiction equals prepper, right? Maybe. How dare you? This guy says, you shouldn't throw stuff around, especially if it's a review. It appears to come across as worthless. Don't tell me what to do, sir. I guess the only thing to blame is the fact that you have too much money to spend. But hey, nothing wrong with blaming others and keep blaming. How dare you? It was a joke, dude. It was a joke. I'm not blaming my wife for my... You know what? Every payday, I spend... I have 2 paydays a month. So I spend... One payday, I buy $50 worth of ammunition. The next payday, I spend $50 on Amazon on gadgets and gizmos and gadgets to help me be better prepared. Maybe another $50 a month in thrift store stuff. So about $100 a month. How dare you? Okay. Will we ever get an explanation on your seething hatred for compasses? Yes. Maybe it deserves its own video just to explain it. Maybe Modern Refugee will invite me on. We can talk about it. But okay, let me refresh here. Also, I did a live on Local Prepper. Check that out too. I did a post about it, but that was kind of fun. He was great. I think he's on the East Coast, but he was good. Jim Cobb's a great guy. I've been following him for years. He really puts out some common sense advice. He's the guy with the book that I put out. So, yeah. Volunteer missing. Thank you for being so open about your experience about the bug out video. I'm a single mom with kids and pets. God, that'd be rough. So this person says, play Miles play. This person comments quite a bit. That book's practical order on prepping seems very in line with this channel's focus on realistic situations. Yeah, I felt that way too. I also like how the candle has a striker on the bottom, a mark of someone who has used their product. I agree that a couple matches would make it complete. Yeah, I thought that was a great idea. I will tell the woman who makes that, Lauren, I will tell her about that too. But Jim says, that's exactly why I wanted to send Mike a copy of my book. I've been pretty impressed with his content thus far and feel like his approach to prepping mirrored a lot of what I've been sharing in my books. I agree, Jim. Yeah, it was right in line. I'm using your book in my prepping, so yeah, it's great. Anyway, hour and 15. I can't seem to get under that hour and 15 minute mark. This is an end to episode 8 of Hurt Feelings Report. I appreciate you all. Those of you that stuck in for the full hour and 15 minutes. I couldn't listen to myself talk for that long, but thank you again. I hope that these HFRs give you some insight into my thought process and my thinking. Yeah. Anyway, and you guys give me free content when you content on my pages. It's really cool. I enjoy these a lot. So I'm grateful for all the subscribers out there. And if you're new to the channel, I appreciate you showing up as well. Even my fidgety knife thing going on here. But anyway, this is Mike Tango Whiskey, and I'm all clear. See you guys next video.